Okay, I call this meeting, regular meeting of Lions Bay Council to order. The date is the 17th of November 2015. It's 7:03 p.m. Quorum is present. The meeting has been duly constituted. First order of business is approval of the agenda.
Your Worship, we have a couple of amendments to make to the agenda. We
Okay.
need to include a motion to move to a closed meeting at the appropriate time.
Okay, is that that would be a new 13? Is that correct?
It would be, oh, sorry, I'm on the wrong agenda here.
I voted on that.
Oh, yes, it would be item 14.
14. After public questions, comments. Yes.
Correct. And then an item,
What is the section of the legislation?
there are two sections of the legislation for two items.
I just need the sub number. H.
Yep, 91A and 91E, or 90.1A,
Yeah.
90.1E.
Okay, very good. Okay.
And then we also have an item 15, which is reporting out.
Reporting out, yes. Okay. And then adjournment will be 16.
Correct.
Anything else?
That's it for now.
I have one, and that is under resolutions, a second alternate for Metro and Mayor's Council. So it'll be A, 9A.
What was that called, sorry?
Second alternate for Metro and Mayor's Council. This is going to be an on-table verbal. And very quick. Everybody good? Last chance? Okay, we'll proceed. Public participation, there being none, we'll move on to delegations.
Do you have approval of the agenda? Did you get a motion?
Oh, I didn't. Sorry, you're right. All in favour? No, sorry, we didn't call for a motion yet. Motion?
Second.
Second, thank
Go
you.
back one more thing before we do this. I can receive the financial stuff in my council report.
Yes, you make a motion.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So a motion to adopt the agenda. Second, all in favour? Opposed? Carried. Thanks, Anne. Okay, so there being no public participation, we'll move on to delegations. There being none, we'll move on to adoption of the minutes. The first being those of October 20th, 2015. These were tabled, if I remember correctly, Shauna, to come back for something.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I had one arising issue, maybe it's because I didn't notice it before, under 11, correspondence. G6, what do those numbers mean? What is G6?
That matches the cheat sheet.
Well, that's what I was...
G is general and R is, are you talking about correspondence?
Yeah.
Yeah, G is general correspondence
okay.
and R is resident.
So it'll be in the previous package. Good, thank you. Any corrections? These were the corrections. So I'll take a motion to
Do
adopt.
you know what was corrected? We don't know, right?
That would have been in the previous minutes.
Okay.
Shauna, we'll just take your word for it. That,
This is the cleaned up one.
That's,
this is the cleaned up one, yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember exactly why we tabled it.
It's in the next, the November 17th, sorry, the November 3rd minute. Council queried whether there was a resolution for item 8CI, request for financial reports. Under item 15, reporting out, change the last three words in the paragraph from were the successful resident members to say were the resident members.
Yeah, I think the question was more of why is this only coming now, seeing as we have had a council meeting subsequently.
Yeah, you guys tabled it because we weren't sure about the resolution on item 8CI.
Oh, okay, fine.
There was not a resolution, so I removed it.
Great, okay, good. So there was a good flag.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So, motion to adopt and a second. Further discussion, all in favour, opposed, carried. Moving on to adoption of the minutes of November 3. I thought I had something, but obviously I didn't. Anybody? Okay, so motion to adopt and a second. Further discussion, all in favour, opposed, carried. Business arising, action items report, starting on page 13. I don't propose to go through these unless there's a change.
I would suggest that number 4 has been done.
It has been done. The answer is yes.
Number 5 has been done.
It has been done. The
Number
answer
6 is done.
yes.
and
Number 7.
confused with the R1, R2 again.
Yeah, is that, well, that's where my G7, whatever it was, came up. I couldn't
So
remember.
I looked to the left, Shauna.
Yeah, do you, staff to reply to R1 and R2. Did that happen?
Yes, I did that.
Okay, thanks. So those can 4, 5, 6, 7 can come off, Shauna.
And 1, 2, 3 carry over.
1, 2, 3.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Just arising out of that item number 4, do we need to resolve to spend the money to join the Clean Air Society, $350, or is that just a budget item? Yeah.
To join a society?
I think you were taking it away to think about value. You wanted to do it.
Yeah, well, I discussed it with Ruth, and yes, we should
Okay, I
be.
think you were bringing it back to do it then.
Okay, so do we have to resolve that?
It's 350 in the general professional budget, isn't it?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, we're already a signatory to the Clean Air Society, and this is just us, they're asking
It's
for
the
a
funds, yeah.
membership fee.
It's the subscription.
So
Yeah.
we're already in, so it's not like we're joining them.
It's just
Okay,
a renewal fee, that's all. it is.
okay,
Yeah.
all right, as long as we're already
So like
members
like,
then.
You know, pro fees or something, whatever you want to pad it in there.
Yeah, we just do this administratively. Yes,
Yeah,
we need
yeah,
to
that's-
re-up. Okay, good. So we've knocked off the last 4. Anything else? Good. So we'll move on to unfinished business 7A. This is going to be a tabled report.
Sorry, 7A, which is,
I don't know what page it is.
So that wasn't in there, it was tabled from the last meeting, so we have to bring it forward on the agenda. It was Anne's report, but she didn't get.
this won't,
Okay, so it's deferred.
yes, it's deferred.
So it was tabled before and now it's deferred. Tabled because of lack of information, correct?
Yeah.
And now deferred because it's not ready.
Right,
Do you want to set it to a different date? Or does it just be going forward in every agenda? Or just-
Yes, deferral is to the next meeting. Let's leave it tabled, and we'll bring it back when the time comes, when it's strategically valid.
the one question on it was whether it could be received.
Twice, yeah, because I was reminded that previous council had received it already.
I saw the email that you were talking about. I wondered, I didn't go back and check to see whether it was tabled or received.
Yeah.
So
Either
it's-
way, it can be received more than once. It's not recommended parliamentary procedure, but there's nothing illegal about it, about doing that.
So it's a non-issue.
If it wasn't before, it is now.
So it's a non-issue?
Yeah, exactly. What the previous council was doing was saying, you know, we want to respect that there's a new council coming in and give them an opportunity to,
Very good.
which is a great
good.
way to do it.
So
I wanna
what
see
are we
this.
doing with this?
We leave it tabled.
Which means that it'll come back up in the next
Correct.
agenda?
Correct.
No, that's deferral. Tabling is just to.
But then what if we just forget about it?
Why?
Oh, because we're gonna need it when-
Strike it, we're done.
That's why it's coming forward again.
So
And
it would be
Well,
coming forward as tabled again next,
if it was tabled due to lack of information, that's one thing, but if it's tabled because of lack of interest or lack of ability to want to deal with it right now, then we either table it indefinitely or we remove it.
It's the second.
Okay, so let's,
It's not. I wouldn't say it's disinterest. It's just that we've got other things to do right now.
so it needs to stay in then, if that's the case.
that's correct.
Okay.
There simply
It
wasn't
can be
staff
tabled-
resources to
I
write
don't think there's
it.
any limit on tabling, is it? I mean,
No.
it can be tabled for
Yeah.
indefinitely.
But do you do that every meeting? Isn't that deferral?
It seems a strange process, but I think that was Shauna's question was, do we want to flag a specific meeting in the future?
Yeah.
In which case she would bring it forward in
That would make sense.
January.
That would make sense. That would give us time to.
Yeah, I mean that presupposes that we're going to have the wherewithal and the interest to discuss a strategic issue, which we've got lots of other things to
I
worry
could
about.
write a diary and mark it to go with the budget discussion, to go with whether we go with the OCP expenditure this year.
That's
The two of
actually
them
a
match
great
side
idea.
by side.
Okay, very good. So we'll defer this, not table it, until the budget discussion. And it will become part of the budget discussion.
And so I will, dare I say this, own this document until that moment.
Well, don't mess it up too much.
Okay, is everybody good with that? Yep.
That's great. Okay, good. So we'll move on to staff reports. Any?
No.
Good.
Where are we on the reports here?
Mayor report, there are none, there is none.
What's the status on Nikki?
As reported back to council, she is returning to work.
In the next week or so? Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think we've seen a report on that, so that's good. We look forward to working on it back. Mayor, I have nothing to report of note, although I will... No, I've got that under resolutions. Nothing much of interest happening at Transit Task Force, Mayor's Council, Electoral Area A Subcommittee, Clean Air Committee, or GVRD Board. No?
Little Scud Missile from the deep past. The high-profile resident group with respect to the beach park renovation. If you've met with them or deferred them, or is this part of the budget for this year? Is this another diary forward to, or? I mean, I'm only
how it's
thinking
been
because we're
left.
running to the end and we want to get going if we're going to do it.
How it's been left is that they were supposed to assist staff to write the necessary RFQ, to which they would then respond with their bid. Because it was likely to be over $20,000, it had to go through the full process. Their response was that they'd done all they felt that they were going to do. So it's going to die through circular logic. Because the whole point was staff doesn't have the resource or time to specify a reno to the beach washroom. They were going to specify it, and they did actually do quite a bit of stuff, but it was nowhere near bid document quality. It was sort of a fairly high-level kind of technical spec, obviously written by somebody who knew what they were talking about, but nowhere near far enough to do the process that they were instructed to do, which was to work with staff to produce an RFQ.
Okay, so that's a no. So, another budget discussion.
It is another budget.
So if I put this on the December 15th agenda, which is part of the budget piece, because I think when I take away that Glenn didn't talk about, is I'll do the council list. And so we should stick it on that, because if we're going to get these people activated, then we got to do it sooner, not later.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I can probably chat to them offline informally to say that, it's not going to go anywhere unless you do something about it.
Or we set a budget and
Yeah, well,
see expressions
so there
of
is
interest or something like that.
there is a headline budget on beach renovations, of which this would be part, but it's not. I would suggest that just about anything that goes through the budget process in future really needs a business case around it. And the business case is not necessarily monetary; it also has sort of quality of life aspects and.
So it is. I know already. It's on my December 15th stuff.
Yeah, I think that's the approach. Thanks for reminding me though.
Well, I think you should keep in touch.
I will bring it
It's
up.
a bit of resource to throw away.
For sure. Anything else?
Yeah, with being at the conference for 10 minutes, I I stumbled across a supplier there that could answer our whole emergency alerting system problem. The only trouble is it comes with a price tag, which may be a budget item. And I was just talking to them about it, and they said you can go anywhere from 5 figures to 6 figures, depending what you want, and they'd be happy to supply anything. But they can put separate broadcast areas in the village into 3 zones. The way you could set it up is right from your cell phone. If you've got the key code and everything, you can just operate it. All you need is a computer running, say at the works yard, and you just turn the thing on with your cell phone. You can give it a voice message, you can give it sounds, you could do anything you want. It's completely programmable, which is kind of interesting. But
So this is like a village-wide Sonos musical system?
Hey, there's an idea.
Well, you're just describing it.
Hey Jim, about that noise bylaw.
Let me see. Internet-based, I'll bet. Oh, lucky
Yes.
guess.
Blue Note 101.
Well, the interesting thing about the
Every
Oh,
whole thing
Saturday.
That'd be an exception in the noise bylaw.
That's municipal, that's right. Yeah.
anyhow, you can direct it to wherever you want in the village, and they can almost guarantee.
Zone
complete-
sweepers.
Yeah, they can. They can make sure you get it to everywhere because they offer free acoustic modeling.
That's just like when I was driving in the States and they had that warning about the slides. It just came on all the cell phones rang and it all came on. And it's like, holy cow, that's a good idea.
All right,
Oh, yeah.
you know, I think you should throw a note in, I should go for budget too.
Did I mean 5 figures, $99,999?
Starts at the low end of 5 figures, but goes up over 100 grand if you want all the bells and whistles. But, of course, they can't give an estimate now.
No, of course.
Well,
I mean,
they should do a pitch.
I'd like to think that's grantable.
It would be nice. But like I say, they do free acoustic modeling, so what they do is they do it,
What would we call this, Fred?
what did we call it? We had it in the to-do
Can you
list.
email me whatever it's called?
Yeah, sure.
Lions Bay Sonos.
But what they do is, all they need to do is
Yeah,
take,
see, I guess the farmers are like that for their party venues, so they don't actually have to bring the music thing in.
you're right.
Well, I mean, yeah. All jokes aside, I mean, I think it behooves us, given our tsunami, landslide, fire, road condition, any
Earthquake.
number of
Yeah.
actual and potential
Emergent.
risks.
Mhm.
I think it would behoove us to have a public address, public
I think
safety.
they should do a pitch.
Yeah. No, they're happy to come. I asked them, do you do just day meetings or evenings?
I think it'd be
No, they're
interesting to
happy
hear.
do an evening meeting.
And would a quote come out of that?
No, they'd have to know what we want, and they could give us some options, then they would do acoustic modeling, right in their office. They do Google Maps, they see all the terrain and everything. They could tell you.
How many
you'd have to
nodes
do.
you need?
Yeah, and then, if we wanted to, after a meeting, we could ask for a quote.
Okay, well, you need to keep that on your burner because obviously, you know, Anne's tenure is we're counting down the hours really now.
What would be really great is to know what sort of the options are. It's hard to say what bells and whistles you want until you know what they offer, but,
That's got grant written all over it.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there's
That's
some
not
Well,
much.
as a grant, it's probably doable, so.
Well, 5 figures, and
Alerting and notification system, how's that?
there you go.
I wonder where they stole that from.
ANS?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
So currently, if we're hit with an emergency situation, how do we relay the message out to,
Not well.
but how do we do it? What if it's
Tannoy
in
on the fire trucks.
Yeah, typically, like, they've got PA systems and they
No,
would
no,
just. go
currently,
up
how
and-
do we do it?
Us, we call the
Right,
fire
no-
department, tell them to hit the road and blast the stuff, but if they're involved in it, we're compromised. So we have no means of getting it out. The other means that we can use is contact the block watch people and send all the captains out, but that's not quite within their jurisdiction.
Because we can't even access the web, like, the village,
Mhm.
whatchamacallit?
So you'd have to.
Email system, yeah.
Yeah, email system or website.
Yeah, with this system, you just have a dedicated computer sitting at the work yard that's on 24 hours a day, and through the cell phone network, it hooks up and you just.
Well, hence the discussion. And I'm reminded, I don't know if it's only feasible in the States, but I mean, you can make everybody's cell phone ring.
Yeah.
You know, on a given tower, it rings. I think you have to opt in. Maybe you don't have to
In
opt in.
California,
It
you
depends on the
register
network.
there,
We
so
don't-
they captured them.
Yeah, yeah, it's not registered. No, it's anybody on the tower.
Anybody on the tower got it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, well, that's good, timely, excellent. What else did you find?
It's only beginning. I can give you a full report, maybe in the next meeting or something.
You want to talk about IC?
I see.
What's happening with the IC?
Oh, right. Got pushed off my table today. Yeah, there is, I thought it was a good report that they came up with, but there's a few little gaps in there. We do have to talk about how we are going to communicate the last little bit to James. Because I'm very well aware the end date is coming quickly, and we want to make sure we've got all the checkbox checked.
Yeah, I mean, so essentially, for those that don't know, AECOM has reported twice, or 3 times actually. The first was very much a sighting shot. It was very, very fluffy. The second was better, but lots of holes, which we commented on as the committee and then amalgamated the response and sent it to them, to zero reaction. Zero reaction in the third report, second real one, that happened last Monday. So now I at least have generated my comments on the third report. The rest of the IC will hopefully weigh in over the course of the next few days, and then we'll send it off to them soonish, because there's only 2 weeks left in the process, and that's a fairly hard date because we need the report for the budget process. Hence the timing.
I don't know if anyone's called in. I haven't had time to check my email since I got back, so I don't know if they may have by now.
Yeah, I mean, and the gaps are concerning. I mean, to give an example, we asked them to look quite carefully at the scenario where we'd have one primary water intake and the other one on standby, cold standby, warm standby, hot standby, we don't know. And the objection to that from them is that you would have to replace an entire water pipe because the water flow would be too slow otherwise, with a very small, cheap, low-flow pump. Well, the answer to that is, get a more powerful pump. Forget replacing the water pipe. But that didn't seem... And then they were saying, well, at high pressure it'll leak. So what?
Yeah, but how much elevation difference if you go?
It's 11 meters, plus head loss.
But if you go to Harvey,
It's downhill.
It's downhill.
Yeah.
then
So we don't know which one would be primary. But so, the level of... We're not dealing with a highly experienced engineer. That's my concern. This is a young guy, quite well book learned, Australian, doesn't really understand how BC municipalities work, don't really know if he understands how things actually happen. But we'll see. I would hate to wake up when the final report hits the desk to find that we don't have $150,000 worth of infrastructure master plan.
On that topic, are we contractually, are we benchmark paying?
We are paying on invoice, which is based on a notion of time spent. But I think essentially what they're doing is they're divvying up the accepted cost, which is 138, over 4 invoice periods.
So is there, it would appear, if I'm listening right, the information is late. It's not entirely clear, and some of the decision making is a little off center. So are we considering holding back some payment to attract their attention?
Thanks for bringing it up. I would suggest that, and unfortunately there's no guarantee of satisfaction. They will say, well, we did our best effort.
Well,
This is of course why you have accountable staff watching the thing as it gets produced. Staff in theory understands our expectation, both the ICs and councils. So
well,
the only thing we could withhold is,
you're going to get everybody's attention.
sure, the only one we could withhold would be the final one.
Fine.
And I have that in my notes.
I'd be more inclined to look at what the contract, what the agreement was with them, to see what they were to provide for us. If it's just a loosey-goosey type of their idea, then we're hooped. But if it's something that's more substantial than that, we have to wait till we see it before we...
We've never made it through the infrastructure committee.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's pretty tight.
The RFQ was fairly well reviewed and fairly tight. What's being produced, unfortunately, in Nikki's untimely absence, is a little concerned because all we're getting is a PowerPoint presentation. What was presented to us now was 6 sides of a piece of paper.
Can we leave it with you?
Frankly, I'm concerned. I'm concerned that we're not going to get a $150,000 IMP. In which case, there'll be fireworks. Do you want to talk about the Policy and Bylaw Review Committee that
Yeah.
met yesterday?
We had a very interesting meeting yesterday. We had the previous meeting in September, I think it was September 21st, if I remember correctly. We had identified some issues around some of the bylaws, i.e. Good Neighbor bylaw, things like that. And we noticed that some of the bylaws that we have are around Good Neighbor and things like that were sort of piecemeal together from other bylaws over the years, that people had just grabbed and just sort of, they looked like they were written by different lawyers, every single document. And so we looked at it again last night, and we went through, Ann had produced a bunch of bylaws for us from other communities.
Good
And-
neighbor type bylaws.
Yeah. And we sort of looked at them and sort of got a feeling that we need to spend some more time looking at them and determining where we want to go, because we sort of gelled on the fact that we could do a lot better with especially our Good Neighbor bylaw, if we had some good meat in it to deal with some of the disputes, some of the things we get in the village on a regular basis. It would cut down on administrative time, it would cut down on a lot of things, and it would cut down on people doing this. Even the tree stuff that we get a lot of, it could go away if it was done properly in the bylaw for Good Neighbor. And we even talked a little bit about nuisance, because nuisance actually plays into most Good Neighbor bylaws as well. And there's a lot of things that we think that we could do. Ian has agreed to take the bunch that we had last night and review them for us and mark them up. So we're gonna come back to that and look at it again next.
Yeah, we had a thought to try and see if we could encompass in a good neighbour framework the elements in our current good neighbour bylaw which are to do with light, some aspects of nuisance. Nuisance is a legal tort that needs to be much better defined than we had defined it, so that needs to be looked at. We thought we could add noise, smoke and noxious fumes, but mostly smoke, and trees, views and landscapes.
Yeah.
We also thought we may be able to do something about nudity there, but maybe not.
That's, yeah. That's good.
So, it's something. We may come up with something useful. We also discussed the need, given the slew of development, new construction that we're going to be seeing, greenfield development we're going to be seeing, whether we need to improve the building bylaw, which was written in '94.
Yeah, we talked about lighting, air quality, smoke, fume, noise, unsightly stuff in the village. We even found 2 bylaws that were 1976 and 1980 in the file that were written on typewriter. So, you know.
Okay, good. Would this discussion really not be more suited for a council strategy meeting? There's no resolutions to be made here. These are just reports. Would this not?
Well, this is information for council right now.
This,
But that's what the strategy committee meeting is. I'm asking.
it would be quite appropriate to have these in a regular council meeting.
Yeah,
Councils,
absences
councilors
today,
typically report out.
covering the absences from earlier today.
I'm quite happy to do it here.
Which is, yeah, but yeah, I think, but we don't do them back to back all the time, so it's really frogging back and forth.
Yeah, that's true.
Which brings me to me, and I'd like to receive the financial information that Pamela brought forward today. Under my piece,
Okay, is that your motion?
my motion,
Second? Discussion?
thank you, please put your hand up.
Yeah, I would say.
Thank you.
All in favour? Opposed, carried.
Thank you.
So that's just to receive the financials, which you missed.
And if, I'm gonna do a couple of bullet points for Carl first from the mayor's desk for Friday. Pam's out tomorrow, but she'll get the thing on Thursday and go with, and then we'll do a web link to the stuff.
Yeah, I'll just interject. Sorry, Anne, go ahead.
I was just going to point out that the councillors you do have it in your packages, but of course you weren't at the meeting to hear the explanation, so.
Yeah, what you missed was my grateful thanks to Pam, because I finally feel like at least we have something to look at. I'm not so sure I like every number I see, but at least we have a number.
So you got a lot.
I looked at it online this morning, and I actually thought I was gonna have a chance at getting here for it, but I wanted to be prepared. And I didn't see, there was no alarm bells going off in my head, but that doesn't necessarily.
I don't have any alarm bells, hey?
No.
No.
As an early Christmas present, almost a month today, you will have the folks that weren't there, you will have your 90%, 95% draft budget. Lots of holes in it, but you'll see the big picture frame for the second meeting in December before we break for Christmas. So that'll be staff prepared with a bunch of scenarios on general tax, potential general tax increases, the sewer and water stuff. Nikki won't have done her part. The chief is more formulaic. Admin will have their part largely done. I think payroll would be, the first blush would be done, although that might be something that's in camera. I'm not sure how it gets to you, but it will. And I will have, I've been compiling for the last 9 months, a council spreadsheet to match the desires for 2016 and pick up, so that will also come on at the same time. So you have quite a lot of reading. We're ready to go for January, and we'll come back, except for me, who will be away for the first meeting.
So you're saying quite a bit of reading to do over the Christmas period?
Lots of thinking.
Yeah, that's correct. And not to gloss over this, the financial calendar, which is actually the thing that drives everything to success. There was quite a lot of discussion around this as well, and I think Pam went away with some understanding of a few minor tweaks. One thing, Ron, could you please check? I'm sure the answer is apparent. We essentially have 3 funds. We have a general fund, a sewer fund, and a water fund. The general fund is broken down into its little components, and some of them are very small. For example, council administration is big, fire department, bylaw services, a magnificent $20,000 budget, EOC, $20,000 budget. Are there no further details for the water and sewer fund, Ron, because there are no sub-departments? That's my question.
Correct. This is correct.
So that is it.
That's right.
That's why we see no further detail.
That's
Okay.
why we see no further detail.
Okay, good. Okay, good. Thanks. So we'll take a vote on. No, we did vote to receive.
If I can ask a question then, in light of 95% being done by near the end of December, should I line up those guys to come and visit us beforehand so that it could be considered for a budget? Or do you want to push it off to next year, or what's the will?
I'd push it off to next year. I think this is, I think my suggestion is that certainly the piece that I know, the council stuff that's not part of the staff recommendations is huge. So it'll be 95% in volume, not in final number.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's right. I don't think there's any point in rushing it to try and see if we can squeeze it into this upcoming budget. That's not to say that we shouldn't be aware of what the price might be for a future budget. But I wouldn't rush them. But I certainly would.
I think they're on my radar. I think we should hear them. They should pitch.
Well,
agree.
the thing I was thinking of is once the IMP is finished, we've got next year that not much will be done on it because of sending stuff out. So
Funding,
next year
yeah.
could be a low budget time, whereas 2017, we're gonna see going way up with implementing the IMP recommendations.
Yeah, well, you know, these kinds of things, I increasingly want to see what we can do in terms of funding, both government funding and private funding. You know, the Windsor Meet public address system, or the...
Caulfield Village, blah, blah, blah. Like, exactly right. No.
Well, and I agree with everything, but what I think is that we need to be concerned about the IMP being ready to go now, so that when the money does come out, we can jump and run and go and say, here we go.
To that one, actually, the money's gonna lead you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't cover that, but since you brought that up,
Yeah,
for the second meeting in December, Pam's gonna be doing the MFA borrowing calendar, so you can see it, which then can be taken to the IMP, to the...
Infrastructure Committee.
Thank you.
I
So
see.
that when, hopefully you'll have your final infrastructure master plan, you can match the calendar of what you want, and you can see it, so.
But unfortunately, the bottom line is, we wouldn't probably not be able to fund anything with loan funds
16 months.
until
Yeah.
March 2017, simply because of the nature of the calendar.
but that still takes the planning process
Sure.
to kick in. So you've gotta be ready for the
Yeah.
planning process to kick in, that's my comment.
Yes, and the infrastructure master plan is a first step as well.
Yeah.
Out of that, council needs to identify which are their biggest priorities, and then we'll need feasibility studies likely, or some other
That's
good
right.
business cases in order to either apply for grant funding or apply
Yeah,
for-
let's be realistic. And many of the things that will come out of the IMP are fairly high level, one paragraph treatments of something that needs a $20,000 feasibility study, which will then have to be funded through an infrastructure planning grant, which, as you know, is a 50-50 funding. Well, actually, 66-33 funding if you do it right, if you apply for the full Monty. But so that's not a bad point, Fred. It may be that there's no infrastructure stuff, but let's take it under advisement. And you know, is it a strategic requirement to be able to communicate with the village in an emergency? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we can at least get them to come out at some meeting or anything and give us a ballpark figure without any hard numbers or anything, and then we can make a decision where we want to insert it, if and when.
I assume they can have canned message, so it will say, "This is a tsunami warning. Tsunami arriving in 30 seconds. This message brought to you by Windsor Meats." Can you do that?
Probably.
Not a bad idea.
It can even be your voice if you prefer.
Our West Vancouver location's on high ground.
Okay.
Can I report on the parking
Yes.
plan
please.
committee? Well, quickly in a nutshell, we've decided we may need to tweak the terms of reference a bit.
Why is that?
Okay, 2 points. I think number one, I forget the first point was that I think the original recommendation, I forgot to bring the original terms of reference, was that we would come with, we would present council with the process. And then we've decided as a committee, we want to present council with a parking plan as opposed to a
Yeah,
recommendation of the process.
Seeing as it's called the Parking Plan Committee, I don't know how the process ever even crept into the terms of
I
reference.
think it was your wording.
So I can
Yes.
clarify
Yeah.
that, because when you and I spoke, we were agreed that it was quite possible that the parking committee might decide that a consultant
Yes.
would be the best option for to develop a plan. So the committee was at that point going to decide which direction they would go. And so that's why
I know, and then the
we
committee
chose the word process.
Thought, well, is of the feeling that they can actually produce a plan as opposed to requiring a consultant. So they would like to have that as the final objective. And then to actually have the deadline pushed forward in order to meet the high season parking challenges of May.
The one concern I might raise around that would be the staff support for that. The reason the meetings are set monthly is because our staff support is pretty much maxed out for committee meetings.
So we're almost running with the assumption that there will be minimum staff support.
Although we do need Public Works in there
Yeah.
from now on.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's true, a good point. The reason to try and produce a plan sooner rather than later is so that there's lots of time to implement it.
Sure.
And I'm gaining a good level of comfort that based on the previous plans that have been worked on, which are kind of sometimes halfway there, sometimes 2/3, sometimes a quarter of the way there, we can actually come up with something pretty
We seem to
damn
have
good.
a few drafts of plans, we have many reports, so we have a lot to work with. And with that in mind, we're thinking we might be able to put together an effective plan, and perhaps at that point in time, we can decide, well, maybe it's not good enough, and we may need to bring it to,
Well, I mean, essentially, we'd produce a plan,
Yeah.
bring it to council, and
Yeah.
council would say, this needs to be looked at by a professional, or this sounds great. Yeah, I mean, you know, we have the benefit is we're particularly small. We have 11 kilometres of roads to worry about. That's it. I guess 22 kilometres if you count both sides. But
We have a lot of unique situations in the village too,
yeah.
which make it really difficult to deal with parking in a lot of cases.
Well, so how it's being approached? Well, we're not going to get ahead of ourselves. Well, so what I'd suggest you do, if the terms of reference need tweaking, just bring a recommendation.
yeah.
And I'm
Yeah,
sure
I'll
council
put
would be amenable.
Last thing, if we're finished on this.
You, ask Helen. You good?
Are you good, Lauren, or more, sorry?
No,
Trying to pay attention. I'm wearing my glasses tonight. And I actually, as an information thing, a resident approached me and I've passed the information on to Helen because it's in her bailiwick, and I'm essentially doing this not to get airtime here, but I will tell the resident that Helen's got it, and this is somebody that is looking to do some communications work for us over the summer. And that's Helen's call whether she wants to pursue it or not.
this has nothing to do with parking.
No, this sounds
No.
like
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that. I've learned at the feet of the master to be wary of free gifts.
I'm just looking to extricate myself from the opportunity.
Yeah, I gathered that. You know, setting that person up to give them job to do might be more trouble than it's worth. But you saw that, right? You saw the
Yeah.
And it might not be either. It might be a chance to utilize a
well, they may be able to
that's
tweak
wanting
the website. They may be able to key some data. They may be able to.
It's unclear at this point whether he's offering his intern services for free.
He is.
Yeah, I got the sense that it was free.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just need to confirm with staff how that would work. Can we just have a volunteer join staff? Does it fit within, I don't know, union?
Yeah, or can he sit? I mean, I have a whole list of volunteer opportunities that I was thinking that high school students could do for their service requirements. For example, research the name Lions Bay. Research who Harvey was. You know, why is it called How Sound? To put into the village literature.
Okay. We'd have to look into that. It might potentially have to be an exempt
Yeah, what does-
position.
yeah, well, we don't know what the HR policy is in regards to.
It's in your lap now.
Okay.
When would this person start and for how long?
April to August.
Oh, a long time. Okay. Okay, anything further for staff, mayor and council? Good, we'll move on to committees, specifically to do with the Trees, Views and Landscape Committee recommendation. I believe there's one, two, there's more than one.
That's the same one.
It's just the one.
Oh, this is the on-table stuff?
No, council had asked that we bring
You want to
all the
read
paperwork to meeting.
Okay, thanks. Well, it's very hard to review this now, so,
Okay, I think that's where we agreed. Long story short, I think the villager was actually asking us to cut a tree on his property.
that was your thing. So, remind us how this works. We approve it,
We approved it.
and you're jiggy with it all?
That's fine.
Basically, it's based on the recommendation of the tree committee.
Yeah.
That's it.
But I mean, in.
That's the
in
whole
the
point of
obs-
the committee.
In the
Thanks.
observation.
Shauna has it if you want to see it. They're Doug furs in case you want to know.
All future tree committee stuff that you see, it'll be here.
The one paragraph would be paragraph 2 that they would probably need to do.
Well, it's up to them. I mean, we're giving our approval, it's ours.
It's conditional approval, pending, it's conditional on it being a village tree.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we can make that amendment, a motion to approve the tree committee's recommendation of 6th November 2015 for tree application number 63, subject to the tree being a municipal tree. Can I have a second on that one? And all in favour? Opposed? Carried. Okay. You got that, Shauna? It's on the tape,
I
if
have
necessary.
something I wanted to bring up with regards to the tree committee. The chair of the tree committee wanted me to ask if you received the email with regards to one of the members leaving and,
I did,
Yeah.
council was
Who's
aware of
gonna-
oh,
it.
it's done?
Yeah,
No,
no,
no, he was gonna put
He was
some-
gonna put something
a name
forward.
forward.
And he,
But
I
I-
think he said he did to you.
I
And he's
haven't
just
seen
wondering if it's been,
no, we've got it, we have a name, but it
We have
hasn't
a
been.
name, but
We just had a
somebody's
name
got
by
us-
email, we haven't had a submittal from, I have a name, I know the name.
Are you
Why-
gonna s- are you s- Well, we know who it is.
We
Are you
know
gonna
who it is.
sponsor him?
I haven't responded to him at all yet, no, I have not.
Why is it going to Jim?
he's the,
These trees and views.
I look after the tree committee.
Why are you on the tree committee?
It's, I don't
Have
work
to have
for a
two
living.
councils.
Sorry?
Sorry, I work for myself for a living.
Oh, I see. Just simply because it's a standing committee.
I actually put my eyes on the tree. Jim's the big Konami here.
No, that's fine.
Actually.
Who are the other, who's the other council member?
There-
Because I see there's 3
Yeah.
residents.
I attend when I'm asked to go.
Okay, because this,
That's still-
this is not a
Well,
committee
well,
that I
it's-
struck as a
It's-
standing
no,
committee.
But when Harold left, okay, he's the one that's leaving,
hmm
okay? So there's a vacancy on the committee because Harold's moved. So we have a vacancy on the committee, he can't sit on the committee because he's not a resident anymore. So Simon submitted, had another name, and he asked me, I said, I will put it in front of council.
Okay.
Okay, we had a discussion, the last meeting I was at, I raised it, I put it in front of council. That's where it's at, okay? That's it.
I
So-
don't recall that conversation.
I think
I don't either.
And I've got the minutes here.
the mayor's point, I think, is that a standing committee needs
Yeah.
to have at least 50% councillors is all.
Yeah, so we may need to fix this. Now, first of all, the committee that I struck with the correct number of members is called the Trees, Views and Landscapes Committee. That is the committee that Simon Waterson is the chair of.
Yeah.
So I don't know what this tree committee is. That's a vestige of something else.
No,
So,
That's the trees used in landscape
It's the
committee.
trees, views, and
okay, so that's just an administrative thing. So the members are you, Ron, obviously, Jim, you.
I'm
You're
not a
on-
member of it, no.
and the other ones that are named on this number for,
So Jim
Mr.
Cannell,
Mr.
Tony
Hart.
Clayton, Simon Waterson,
and those would be all the.
Harold
Right.
Geinger's
He's
replacement.
gone, so the 4 that are named are the ones that are residents in the village now.
Okay,
And
that means it needs 4 council members.
Yes.
It's a standing committee.
We've approved the, I guess we should go back and have staff look at the amended trees, views, terms of engagement then, because
Yeah.
when Simon wrote this, it was not intended for equal. It couldn't have been.
Oh, I
comfortably-
wouldn't have missed that one. So we just need to, now again, I've got a stack this high, so I'm not going to find it.
Well,
The-
Staff's got it right here. It's
The
strange
terms of
landscape.
reference for the trees, views and landscapes, could we get that?
Yeah.
Not now, but for
And
next
then
meeting.
when that's in hand, we can go with,
I'm sure that would have the right number of members.
Actually, their terms of reference, I looked at it, and it's like no other terms of reference that we currently have. And it's more based as a select committee.
It is a select committee. It was always treated as a
Yeah.
select committee. It was not a standing.
Not
Yeah.
by me.
Yet it is a standing committee.
Is it?
Oh, it's
It has to be.
standing.
It's standing.
It's
Yeah.
standing now,
Yeah,
but
it's
the
not,
thing
it's
is-
not set for a specific purpose.
do we, Sean, how
Yeah.
easy is it to get it from the other room?
Can't you just search it up
I
there?
have it on my computer.
Let's just pause for a minute then,
Okay.
so we can deal with the
Is
other.
that-
Pause.
Because I looked at it and I go, wow, this doesn't look like
Might
our
be-
terms of
Might be
reference.
under committees, right?
Is there a, are you using that glass?
It's not on this computer.
This broken glass?
Yeah, the broken one.
I've used it, but I think we should
know
check
what?
it
I'm
out.
not
Check it
sure.
out. I wouldn't keep it. Yeah, it wouldn't.
Well, Anne's got
Let,
two in
let
front
me
of
get you
her.
this one there.
No, there's more here. No rush.
Really?
Yeah. Just throw this one in the bin, please, Anne. Oh, it's a coffee cup, that's why.
So are you on the committee?
No,
You're not.
I'm
So
not on
who
the
is
committee.
He's the head of the committee.
I'm,
I mean,
So you're the
I'm
head-
government.
He's
I'm-
the titular
They-
head.
they-
You could
The
be,
committee was given to me for whatever reason at the beginning of the council.
so you're,
And I'm not on the committee.
So you're not
Simon
on the
runs the
committee,
committee.
but-
It's a bunch of residents that get
Well, it's not
together
on the
to
committee,
make a
but it's-
recommendation
it's
about trees. That's all there is to it.
how does that work?
Just on your portfolio.
It's just under my portfolio. That's
So
all.
we can have something, oh,
Are we running on the clock here?
I don't know what, I'm not sure.
I'll have some of that water, please.
Thanks, Hal.
that keeps on bugging me. I'm thinking, okay,
No, that's
I'm
okay.
gonna pass it on to you.
I thought we talked on the phone about it. I'm pretty sure we did. I know you emailed me. and I responded back
Can
to
we?
his email.
Yeah.
And I think
We have to adjourn the meeting. Or suspend the meeting or
I
something.
don't recall this.
Well,
Conversation
it
at the
was
council
put,
meeting.
it was put in front of the council meeting. They've been the one
Nobody
that-
But that's not the correct
You
term.
weren't
It's,
here either.
No, it was.
It's
It's
in
adjourn
your
and resume,
absence.
right?
No, not in that meeting. Oh.
I only missed one,
That's right, you're right. I think
Yeah,
it was-
it's not
we
adjourned,
both missed
something
it.
else.
We did both miss the same meeting.
but you put it forward when you were there.
Recess.
Yes.
Motion to recess, a second. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, motion recess, meeting recess.
I'll find some.
Okay, we're resuming the meeting at what time? 7:51. Okay, so for the
Not
record,
new to this council. It's
the terms of reference are not forthcoming. We're going to defer discussion on the Trees, Views and Landscapes Committee to another meeting. Everybody good with that? Okay, let's move on to 8E, the Lions Bay Fire Rescue Monthly Report on page 17, which I read with great interest because we had a pretty serious day on the 26th. 3 serious accidents, and of course on the highway. But what I did want to ask of it was the natural gas smell. We don't have natural gas in Lions Bay, so what's that all about?
Do they mean propane?
Has
Well,
to be
does he?
propane.
Well, propane, yeah,
Well, there's a big difference in
Big difference in
explosivity,
smell.
potential volume.
yeah.
But it could be a natural gas fired car. Doesn't
Could
say
be a
that.
vehicle. It could be a natural gas from a vehicle. That's true. That's true.
Okay, well, nothing seemed to happen, but
Didn't hear a word.
didn't hear a boom, exactly. Okay.
Just do we get rail cars of natural gas going by here?
I am told that we would be advised after the fact if hazardous materials were moved on the railway line.
Yeah. That wouldn't necessarily be hazardous.
Yeah, exactly,
Because
so-
because it would be flagged as dangerous, but it may not be hazardous.
I don't think we would know.
It
I
should
don't
be
think we would either.
It would be placarded.
It would be placarded.
Yeah, but you'd have to be down there to know.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the guy in Muck Atlantic didn't stand there and say, hey, there's a placard. The first they knew about it was when the town was destroyed. So,
Well, don't they haul natural gas or something? What do they haul to Furry Creek? One of those communities has, or is it Porto? There isn't natural gas or a community that takes stuff off the rail line.
Okay, well, we're guessing, but yeah, that CN line,
I think it
federally
is Furry
regulated.
Creek. I'm pretty sure it's Furry Creek.
There's not much we can do about it. They're a law unto themselves, but
Maybe
Don't
not.
they have propane?
I don't like it.
Yeah, maybe it's propane, yeah.
I don't like what can potentially go through there. There is no preventing them from shipping anything they want on that line. And what's more, just for the record, just north of Brunswick is a marshalling yard, close to 5 lines, where they make up trains and leave trains. Now they've assured me that they would never leave any hazardous cargo sitting there. That's not to say they wouldn't bring it through here, but they wouldn't leave it sitting at that staging yard. Well, that's all very well. So we'll move on to.
Before we move on, something else for you. We had talked previously about reactivating HAG. Would this be a good time to do it, in light of all these?
I was approached by Lisa, actually, last week at the Remembrance Day, which I wanted to try to talk to me about a little bit, and I hadn't, I hadn't given much thought. I mean, we talked about it before. The Highway Advisory Group, the last part of the Highway Advisory Group went to landscape to deal with the highway maintenance of the landscaping and trees and stuff like that. And that, right now, that group hasn't been doing anything. There's nothing. I don't even think they still exist. I don't know what last council did with them. But, so the active construction group was, at that point, was disbanded. So all that was left was the.
In terms of the need on the highway, I would suggest no. We don't reactivate the HAG or the CAG or any of those. I'm dealing with it at a sort of a strategic level with the ministries concerned, Justice and MOTI, and
So when
making some progress.
When residents ask, how are we dealing with this? We
Well,
say
if they
the
don't
mayor?
read the mayor's piece, you can refer them to that, or have them talk to me. I mean, I did actually write about it 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
in some detail.
I wonder, I'm not sure if anyone would feel the need, but in light of the conversation with the rail and also the highway, I wonder if we should have a transportation advisory.
Well, that might be more appropriate. I could see that, but
Because
I can't see reinventing the Hague just for that.
Again,
Carl's doing all the work.
you know, it's federal and provincial. There's not much we can do. All I can do is
Lobby.
lobby.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you're doing it every time you see them. So
I'm meeting
I
them on
think
Thursday, in fact.
Since you'd have to attend, I don't think you need more meetings.
Yeah, precisely.
You'd have to attend here and then do your day job.
Yeah.
Have they given any indication if they're thinking of doing anything to assist with this situation?
So they had 4 things they were going to do, all fairly passive. They're going to put oversized speed limit signs. They were going to study and move the staggering of the 90, 70, 60 to see if the signs could give a better warning. They were going to evaluate but not implement narrowing the lanes with paint, because the studies show that narrower lanes slow people down. And they were going to plan dynamic enunciators, whatever the heck that is. But it's not a your speed is sign, it's a bigger one that says leave the cell phone alone, and other useful information like that.
The problem
The mayor rolled his eyes.
The problem with some of the things that have been suggested is that it is a commuter highway. It's a major commuter route in the Lower Mainland, and therefore there's not a lot of. I mean, there's not a lot of interest in slowing it down. I mean, there is, but there isn't really during rush hour or during times when traffic is really, really heavy.
Well, especially as we take care of all the,
Yeah.
and we take a far more than a proportionate share. The accidents are Lions Bay because it's tricky, because our radiuses are small.
right, yeah.
The radiuses and the sight lines were designed to slow people down because they thought they were in a town. Well, nobody realizes they're in a town. So they're whipping through here at 90, or the 85th percentile speed is 105, which means that 85% of people are doing 105 or more, and they're crashing. And they're going through the median. You don't have to look at the gaps in the trees. So I'm working on it very hard.
And the concrete barrier is A no.
They tell us that it's a no. Moti says it's a no due to the necessary setbacks from the
It's
barrier.
not, there's not enough width through the village to do concrete barriers all the way through. We tried that when we were doing the highway stuff.
Precisely.
And there's 2 spots that we can't do it. It cannot be done.
Yeah. So, I mean, quite frankly, what I'm really agitating for, and it's going to be a lot of lobbying, is a return to speed cameras in BC under very special circumstances. This being one of them. Now, I've had flat denials from the Commissioner of the RCMP and the Minister of Justice. That's just the beginning.
Well, it's interesting to me because the city of Vancouver uses them.
Well, so the first argument that was propounded to me was a privacy one. Well, red light cameras, what are those?
Yeah.
Use those.
Can we put up like dummy speed cameras?
It's not our highway. I'm afraid not.
And we took our red light out, so.
Well, so it has been proposed, and it's not a bad idea, is that we put in sometimes on traffic light at a level crossing. And so if development plans come to fruition, it may be that we put a level crossing in a la Brunswick, Britannia, and have a light. But the light only goes red when speeds are high. When speeds are normal, just screen. Yeah. So the Modi doesn't like that idea either, by the way. So to answer your question, Helen, we are working on it.
You are.
Well, in my portfolio as strategy, because it's a big issue. It costs us money, taxpayers' money. It costs our fire department emotional capital. It's not cool that people are being killed on the highway. The big challenge is we have to be careful about speed changes, because the on-ramps, all 6 on and off ramps, all 6 of them, were designed in theory for some speed. I doubt it was 60, but it wasn't 120.
When the highway was designed, the criteria was very clear what they were designing it for. And they do design, like, they've designed it for 60, but that just means that that's 60K for the absolute most inept vehicle you could ever imagine in your life. Okay? Most vehicles can navigate it at much higher speeds, and they know that. And so that's part and parcel of the problem. When it comes to design standards for the highways, like they say it's designed for 60, well, it is, but that means that they design it for 80 or 90K.
Well, I hope they know more than they're telling, because I would hate to think that we had an amateur design highway there.
No, I don't think that's it at all. I think it's just all highway designs are that way.
In my car, I can navigate every single corner. I can navigate them 20K more.
But there's no
than
advantage
unlimited.
to speeding through the village because you don't gain any time. It's just a short distance. You're better off to slow down to the 60.
Yeah, but nobody does. The 85th percentile
Well,
does
everybody
105.
behind me does.
Yes, conversation on over the Christmas.
No,
circuit.
only if you take up 2 lanes.
Okay, we'll move on. That being, we've still got the RCMP report. Any comments? I notice 3 break and enters, of which 2 were unfounded. What's an unfounded break and enter?
And what's a founded one?
Well, founded is when somebody did break and enter, I imagine.
Oh, I see.
Well, unfounded means that there was a complaint, but they couldn't prove it. They did. They
You'd
didn't
think
get a
that
hold
if
of
your
the
door
complaint-
was
they didn't
hanging
get
off
a
the
hold of the
hinges.
complainant.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, no.
Maybe it
That
was
to me
just an
sounds
enter.
like they got a call, a complaint, and they went to find out about it, and they couldn't find out anything about it. That's all it means.
And were we gonna block out the addresses for some of these calls? I'm gonna look at
Sorry, which page?
the foot page of the.
On the fire department report?
No, the RCMP alarm report.
RCMP report.
I believe we should.
I think we should.
It's not our report to, what we could do is we could move the report to a closed meeting. Or we could request that or we could just always put this report in a
Advice
closed
here, I
meeting.
mean, you know,
Is this public?
Um,
Is it searchable?
This report?
Yeah.
The
Anything that's in our agenda.
No, from the RCMP.
from
Do
the-
they publish
from
it?
the RCMP.
It says here unclassified. It doesn't say,
Yeah, I'm looking at
it
that.
doesn't say
It doesn't look like-
confidential
Yeah.
or private. But I think, we can make a decision on that one.
Can we just not redact it?
Yeah.
Just redact them.
Can we redact addresses in future?
I think, yeah, I can do it by hand if I
Yeah.
can't do it on the computer.
We don't need to know, even council doesn't need to know where it is. That's between them and the RCMP. In fact, I don't know why they give it to us, but they do. I'm not going to ask them to stop.
No, okay.
The one thing I did want to point out is that there were quite a lot of traffic tickets, sort of more than double than they normally do on a monthly basis. I don't know if that is a push or my complaints are having an effect.
Well, no, they're here on a regular basis issuing tickets.
Well, but they normally do about 10 a month. This month they did 20.
Oh, another guy at the conference this morning, when he found out where I'm from, he said, "Oh, you're the place where all the speed traps." He must be affected.
Yeah.
I'd like to see those.
Wow.
Yes,
Damn, we got so many.
20 tickets in a month. I mean,
I guess if you're one of them,
Lunch
it's all
hour
right.
at the intersection in Vancouver.
Maybe we should start posting that on social
Right.
media. We're the place with all the speed traps.
yeah. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay. We will move on to the added item for a second alternate for Metro. This arises from me. As you know, the council alternate for Metro is Helen, and the council alternate for Mayor's Council is Jim. I am going to be away for one Metro board meeting and one Mayor's Council meeting. Helen tells me that she can't make that meeting. I haven't had a response from you, Jim.
I'm fine,
You're okay?
I'm fine.
Okay, so does anybody want to go in Helen's stead? And if so, we need to resolve that as an alternate, and then
What's
I
the
need
date?
to
Friday,
Friday's
2
coming
days,
Friday.
3 days from now?
No, next Friday. Friday next week,
During the day. What time?
9 to 12.
Friday's never a bad day for me.
I think we have house guests that time. It would be kind of awkward.
Okay, do you want to volunteer, Jim?
I'll volunteer for it.
Okay, so that's
I just need the
Great.
information, that's fine.
well.
I'll
There's not.
volunteer
I
for it,
mean, you'll get the
Yeah, no,
package.
that's good, sure.
Is that for the Metro?
That's for the Metro board meeting.
yeah. I'm halfway there anyways, so I'm in Burnaby, so, yeah.
Yeah, well, so it's on Kingsway. It's
Yeah.
I think we get gas money paid.
and you get paid.
No, that's fine.
You get paid a
don't
meeting
mind.
fee.
I just let somebody else run the office, I'm not worried about it.
So, and you can make the Metro, the Mayor's Council. Now,
can
I'll have
make
to
it.
brief you on that one. That's a
Yeah.
little more formal,
Yeah,
and
no, that's fine, yeah.
that is at Translink in New West.
Mhm.
I believe at 9 as well. You vote your conscience. I
Not
think
the
there's a
same
couple
day.
of votes. No, that's on Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday, yeah.
You get paid for that one too.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay, so motion to appoint Jim as the second alternate for both, no, just simply for Metro. Second? Favour? Opposed? Carries. Okay, thanks. I'll advise them that
Yes.
you're going to be
Yeah.
attending Helen V-Day me.
Yeah, just give me the information, that's perfect, yeah.
Sorry, what's the date? So I can have it.
That meeting, well, this is general, but for the particular meeting it's Friday the, whatever it is.
Oh, this is for ever, for all meetings.
Yeah,
The
as the
20
second, if Helen can't make it, then Jim would be next
Yeah.
in line.
Okay.
We don't have a second alternate for
No.
Mayor's Council yet,
No.
but we can do that if it comes up.
No.
Mostly I can make all the meetings, it's just I can't make that one. Okay, thanks. So we'll move on to bylaws. Third reading of the indemnification bylaw 496 is on page.
Tabled. No, it's tabled.
Table meaning we're not going to discuss
Or-
it?
Whatever the term was it tabled? Yes.
It had
that's right.
previously been tabled, yeah, because
correct.
there was stuff missing.
Right. Do you recall, we talked about this in our one-on-one?
Yeah, I do. And we were going to get a report on what had changed, because it was too difficult to do a red line and strike out because the other one is not soft copy.
Right, right. But I also said that I would no longer have time to make those changes. Or to bring another report forward.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so nothing's changed. It remains tabled. We're not going to do a third reading until we know what's changed.
The difference is the primary difference is the referral to the legislation. One is municipal act. It's not-
I also had some comments that haven't been addressed yet in terms of sentences that made absolutely no logical sense at all. And when I typed those sentences into Google, I see exactly where they come from. Some lawyer back in 1905 wrote them, and nobody's ever thought about them since. So we'll keep that one tabled because nothing's changed. Everybody good with that?
Yep.
Do we have to do a motion to table?
Nope.
Okay.
That's just-
OCP Amendment Bylaw 493, third reading, page 21. background on this one, of course, is that we did first and second. We sent it to Metro for comment. The comment has come back. Apparently, I didn't know this. The TransLink has to see it as well. TransLink's volunteered to help us run an internal village shuttle, which I'm very happy about. I'll be talking to them about that. Heather McNell sent back saying that we needed the employment numbers, but the bylaw that's presented to us doesn't have the employment numbers in it.
Did we not put them back in, Sean?
Not yet. I put the original one in here until they approved.
Oh, no, they need to go in.
Isn't it this?
No,
yes,
that was just a
that's
sample
correct.
from the previous
Oh.
The
RCS.
bylaw that is approved at the third reading has to be exactly
As it's going to be, yeah.
as it's gonna be.
So there's that, and then
To come forward for third reading again.
I also didn't quite see where the piece on the TransLink thing was going to be. But is it in here?
No, I didn't see anything in TransLink that's actually required.
They
They
did
have some suggestions for when we do an upcoming OCP update, but they don't have anything that's required in this regional context statement as it stands right now. They understand that this is an interim RCS.
I got the sense from the second last paragraph that they were talking about this work towards statement.
Yeah, for the upcoming OCP
I
update,
think it's the OCP update.
That's
on
the
this one.
OCP.
yeah.
Yeah, but that wouldn't be a work towards statement. That would be an OCP.
Oh, it's an OCP. A new OCP.
Fine. Okay.
A
So
work towards statement around the walkability in the community, so.
okay. Well, I mean, yeah, my understanding, the term work toward has always been this RCS is the work toward document. But okay, fine. If it's not mandated to do something for TransLink,
Yeah, no.
and then Metro's only was on the employment numbers. Now the issue is around employment numbers is that home-based businesses or T4 based employment
So it
or
would be registered, would be from what? RevCan?
they won't give us that apparently. I'd love to know
These-
those numbers.
I'm assuming they're from the Stats Canada numbers, because the
Yeah.
2011 is the latest data.
Yeah.
So,
Well, the population numbers come out of the OCP. I don't know how we're going to house 1,700 people, but this is what's in the OCP. This is a work towards statement. The problem is, the issue is, we need employment numbers. Which ones are we going to report? We can't do the third reading because we don't have them in here. But what are we actually? So I guess my question was: is it home-based, formal business?
I don't know, we'd have to go back to the Stats Canada data and look into what exactly they're reporting on for employment, because I'm quite certain that that's where these numbers come from, given that the year is 2011 that we're reporting on.
Yeah, that is the stats.
So,
That's the census number.
Stats Canada would have, or
Employment.
yeah, they would probably break down what that employment looks like.
Okay,
I
I'm with
can't
you now.
guarantee that they do.
Okay, so we're going to have to table this one as well and bring forward the employment numbers for before we can third reading it, correct? Because this is not third readable because we don't have the requested numbers. We could take the opportunity to tweak a few more sentences, but I won't do that. Okay, so table.
I'm going to challenge us all to move this legislation on this year.
Well, I hope when you attend the Metro meeting, you will get roundly castigated, as I do, every Metro board meeting, for being the only municipality in the district that doesn't have its regional context statement in yet. They're all in, except for the village of Lions Bay. Major barracking.
Then-
You're crying, Tom.
It's broadcast, you can watch it.
Is that why they always give me dirty looks?
No. There's another reason why Lions Bay is still in bad odor. A year after.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're tabling that one. Is that the correct terminology? And we don't have to resolve it? Correspondence, 3-7. Ron, you want to do the honors?
I'm ready. Adoption Awareness Month, this is a proclamation, and that's lovely in the third to last paragraph, 4th to last paragraph. They're asking that we celebrate the many ways that families can be positive towards adoption.
No action.
No action necessary. Number 2, climate change warning labels. Interestingly, the third item on the 6 o'clock news tonight, where North Vancouver's putting on the gas pumps. This correspondence is from Burnaby, follows their stuff through the environmental stuff, and no action that I could see in the
Oh, you don't want to consider it for our gas station?
Well, that was what.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, yeah, well, the only gas station we got is the Marina.
It's separating between their internal folks planning and building versus the political types which have implemented it. There's nothing to say. Right Holdings, and isn't that a wonderful name? For what amounts to be a quasi-Uber type service, and they welcome us to try their,
Now, why is this not a private business?
their ultimate ask from the president is, I would like to expand our services to you by sending our director of business to discuss Right Rides and answer any questions you may have. I do not have any questions.
I mean,
So why they call right? That's my question.
Why you call it right?
Dude,
Yeah.
I guess when they went on the search, they go rope. It was taken.
so I mean, when this comes up, if he does follow up, it's why are you sending us your promotional literature?
Well, there you go, because you can. Anyhow, Auditor
Wait,
General
Ron,
for
Ron.
local.
Actually, I wanted to add something. Shauna, when we get these, could we maybe just print it in black and white so we don't have to use ink? Especially something like this.
Especially something like this. He's got Chaucer.
Yeah, there you go. Anyhow, G4, the Auditor General for local government, the Honorable Gordon Ruth, wish us all a hail and a hearty hello and I'm on board. Moving on to the next one, which is the Community Sport and Cultural Development. This references Carl's meeting with the various heads of state at the province.
I've reported on this already, so I
There
won't
you
go on that
And in
anymore.
particular, if you could tune to page 79 of 82, clearly the best looking guy of the works.
Yeah.
Say no more, say no more.
Sorry, what is this from?
UBCM.
Oh,
Gosh, now they're drinking their hands. Okay, I guess we've got
It was very early in the morning.
Okay. Last one, R1, if I can deal with this one. This is from a resident, well, wherever they are, and it's substantially doing the same thing about the, I urge council to approach the Ministry of Transport, Highways and ICBC and discuss having barriers added to this stretch of the highway. It's long overdue.
Yeah, Tim is staff sergeant with West Van.
The only piece.
I know him quite well. His in-laws were my neighbours. I'm having coffee with him on Friday.
Then we'll consider that you told them that we talked about it.
Okay, thanks. So, I believe that was it for the initial agenda. New business. Ron, did you have something you wanted to bring?
Jog my memory.
Yeah, I've only got a half suspicion that you said something. Well, no, that was to do with the 3Q finance report.
No,
which
we're
we've done.
done with that one. I think, well, since you kind of spilled the beans on this, and you were talking about the private company, emergency system. In fact, I have a call out to the property management people at Caulfield Village to see if we can work something out there, so we may have to dress up one day and go see them and have either Safeway Day for Lions Bay and do something, or I'm trying to do it through the property manager.
Yeah, I can see that there's plenty of opportunities for municipal expenditure that we don't want to use tax money for, but that can be sponsored. Like, for example, outdoor wash lighting at the beach, or beach washroom, or new flagpoles, or something. Sponsor opportunities that people would look at askance if we used general funds for. That would be nice for somebody to
I
sponsor.
think this is, we've been fortunate enough to get, relatively speaking, a major sponsor for the events committee for the Canada Day. It looks like one is on board for the Santa's Breakfast, small money in the world of the world, but big for that particular group. This one, I'm not stuck on the beach part, but that's the one where there's probably big numbers, but then the emergency services, that could do it too. So I think the important thing is probably, Carl, for you and I, to at least get in front of them and start some kind of dialogue.
I'm all for that. And the Windsor Meet thing was fantastic for Canada Day. especially because it was in kind. It wasn't just money. It was, you know, they actually did it. I was very
So is that to say our village is sponsor friendly?
yeah. I was yeah. For select opportunities, you know, stuff that is certainly not going to be currying influence or. So, for example, we wouldn't accept a sponsorship from the taxi company.
So we're not right for opportunities for the taxi company.
Good one.
Well,
Okay, that's it for new business.
it's,
Public questions or comments. Moving on to closed. What's the text? I've got the text here.
Anne,
Yes.
yes, I just,
You're supposed to read that? Oh,
Is there something for that?
There is not at this point.
Okay.
No. Sorry about that. I didn't realize that.
okay. So before us is a resolution to close the meeting of November 17th, 2015 to the public on the basis of matters to be considered under the following sections of Community Charter 91. Part of the council meeting may be closed to the public if the subject matter being considered relates to one or more of the following. Sub A, personal information about an identifiable individual. And sub E, the acquisition, disposition, or expropriation of land or improvement. Can I have a motion? A second, all in favour, opposed, carried. Meeting's closed. Okay, we're back. It's 10:25. Shauna, that's 10:25. 20:25.
Roger.
Are you reading me, Shauna? Is this damn thing working? Okay, so reporting out, council discussed the CAO recruitment process and were presented with shortlist candidates by CAO Yansu, who council will interview in the very near future. Can I have a motion to adjourn? All in favour, opposed? Oh, second, please. Thanks. All in favour, opposed, carried. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.